Yes, you feel young. Award one, y'all 100 years. Children award, lots of party, let the kids come out. Yeah. Yeah, any kids out don't know all, get them out, have fun.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Fine, sir. How are you?
Very well, very well. Good to see you.
You too.
There's some work for you. There's something for you. Okay. I'm gonna send it to you in the morning. Huh? Yeah, you done got tall. Taller than me in a minute. Hey, what? Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Just left school. And our dad coalition meeting today. said, we'll see.
Yes, sir. I said, do you support it? He said, yes. He said, I need to look at my brother. Do you have earnings? I was trying to get some credit. Because he didn't, she started laughing. And I'm thinking, no, I said, I said she's different than mine. He said he did not know who you were. But the look on his face, he did not say something. No, and I've got some in my car. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you want to just take 2 or 3 just in case something else comes in? Yeah, I'll give that. I don't think I should.
Welcome. Mr. Roberts.
Anyone in the back that would like to sit, there's 3 seats up front, and you don't have a spot. You can sit right.
Good evening to everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our board meeting, September 3rd, 2023. I'm very excited to see you all here. We have a packed house. Hopefully we continue to have a packed house. I just want to make a few announcements before we turn our forum. We do have a forum. I want to thank you 14. I want to thank the board members for attending. We still enjoy it. Continue to work with you. I want to thank our superintendent who's continuing to do an awesome job. Pushing us forward. We have some special guests in the house, and I want to acknowledge you. We have the Honorable Mayor Washington here with us this evening. We have some city council members, Honorable Lowell Holman Jr. Bruce Lockett. City council members. We have members from Powell Wastewater Utility. That was my invite as we talk about our magnificent project of building the high school. I think you may have stepped out, right? Oh, okay. You moved up front. You moved up front. We have representatives of East Harding here this evening. Consider an invite to Mr. Bennett from Powell Street Department, because I know he's heavily involved, has been heavily involved in projects like this. And again, this is going to be a community effort, so we want to make sure to acknowledge them. We also have members from our Village Campaign Committee who are here present to support us, as well as our architect, who's going to be making a presentation to us to informed community as we go forward. So thank you all for attending. We really appreciate it. Now, before we get to the business at hand, we're going to call this meeting to order. By my count, I see we have a quorum with 2 members absent. 2 members absent. So we'll call this meeting to order. We're gonna go on to the next thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask you to stand for a moment of silence. First, we ask for a moment of silence, of course, for our city, for our leadership, for our youth, for our first responders, and just for our community. And tonight, I'm gonna ask for a special moment of silence for the family of Patricia Pryor, who was my classmate who transitioned recently. We ask you to keep them in your thoughts and in your prayers. And of course, gotta ask you for a moment of silence for my mentor, who started me on baritone at Southeast, and then was my band director at Conway High School, Mr. Carlisle Jr. and his family. Mr. Lott was a mentor to all of us. He was a father figure to all of us, and want to make sure you continue to acknowledge him and his presence. He impacted generations of students, and so I would be remiss if I didn't mention him in terms of that moment of silence. Do any of the board members have any individuals in the community or families that they would like to add to the record for a moment of silence? Okay. After we stand for a moment of silence, Honorable Mayor Washington.
I would like to add one. We have a young lady who worked for our fire department. She was 35 years old, and she transitioned one night last week.
Thank you, Mayor.
Rich,
The
Thank you very much. Anyone else? After we stand for a moment of silence, we're gonna have our pledge of allegiance, and then we're gonna go into our agenda. And just as a reminder, there will be no public comments tonight, but we do have special guests, and I may call on them to add some insight into the things we've been doing with the presentation. So at this time, let's stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, we are at the point of our agenda for elections. Superintendent Barton.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. And I'm very excited about this opportunity for Pine Bluff School District. This is a special moment for our district. We gained local control on September 15th, 2023, and tonight marks the night where our school board will draw for lots on when their election date will come up. So I've asked our Mayor Washington, Ms. Shirley Washington, to come help facilitate this activity for us today, and we'll explain how that will work. Mayor Washington has cards and envelopes, and for each card, it gives the allotted time that the school board member would have election. As you know, the election process that was approved by the state board, the Arkansas Board of Education, was that Pine Bluff School District would have one board member elected in November of 2024, one board member elected in November of 2025, one board member elected in November of 2026. There will be two board members elected in November of 2027, and two board members elected in November of 2028. At the last board meeting, our school board voted to adjust policies so that we have 5-year terms. So each board member would start with a 5-year term starting in November of 2024. So Mayor Washington's going to place each one of these lots in an individual envelope.
Councilmember Holcomb, will you come up and assist? Don't seal this class. Councilmember Lockett, would you like to join us? Oh, Councilmember Lockett is busy. Okay, we want you to put it in the envelope, Councilmember Lockett, and then mark the place. Waits for directions, he follows directions very well. Now, we're going to shuffle these 3 times. So Councilmember Lockett, you shuffle them the first time, mix them up. Mix them up really good. Councilmember Holcomb, mix them up real good again. Good shuffle. These kids want to do them on a deck of cards, but we don't want that. Old maids for sure. Okay. Now, let me see. Who do I think is the most senior person in the house? Irene? Maybe? I don't know. She might like that. Why don't you show the wise? Our emeritus council member. Councilmember emeritus, who served the council for 24 years. Irene. Alive and strong. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
And so now, Mayor Washington, if you wouldn't mind starting at that end, and each board member will draw. I think we'll hold those until our next board members show up. So at this time, if you guys would like to open yours. Thank you. Okay, reveal when your election is. They aren't very much mixed. Okay, so what we'll do is, board member Edwards, would you state your name and when your election lot is so that Miss Irvin can report for the record, please?
Jamaica Edwards, election lot November 2025.
Lozanne Calhoun, Zone 2, November 2026.
Senator Charles Rice, November 2028.
Charles Cole, November 2027.
Lori Delache, November 2024.
Thank you so much. That leaves 2 lots unopened for our 2 board members that are not here at this time. I'm hoping that Mr. Ricky Whitmore will be able to make it. He did let me know that he may be late, so he will be here hopefully for that. If not, that will be done once they get back.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for y'all's help.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Washington, for attending. I know you're busy, so I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Ms. Irene Holcomb, and also we have another council member in the back, Ms. Leticia Bronson, thank you folks for coming out. Thank you for coming out. So, for those of you who have to leave and have other responsibilities, please feel free to do so at this time. Don't go on without you. All right, next, we're gonna be talking about board committees. Can we pull it up on the screen? Yeah, just take it. And what I want to do is, board members, I included this in your packet because I wanted to, we've been talking about board committees and what was gonna happen next as we continue to serve together. And if you look at policy 1.12 from the handbook, we have some language about committees, but we talk specifically about developing some committees for some specific purposes, not only to streamline our process to help us to be more productive, but also to be able to involve community members into that thought process. And so I took an opportunity to kind of put together a draft for you to review. I'm not going to ask you to vote on it tonight, but just to review, give some feedback, chop it up, edit it, or whatever you want to do regarding those committees, and kind of have some brief discussions about it. I did some research, and a lot of the language that comes from those committees comes from other school boards across the United States. And so the language is specific, but again, that language can be changed and modified as you see fit. And we're just going to talk about those individual committees. The first one is the Educational Affairs and Policy Committee. I'm not going to read what it says, but if you scroll down, I took the liberty of adding some individuals that would possibly serve as chair and some members to compose those committees. Again, nothing is set in stone, but if you wanted to revise or change that, please feel free to do so. You don't have to do that tonight. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it tonight. We have a very, very full agenda, but I at least wanted to introduce it to you. Can you scroll down, please? The next one was the Facilities Committee, which is composed of 5 board members. And of course, the Facilities Committee would be intimately involved into the work associated with our millage campaign and our building and structures. And I would ask Director Coleman to serve as the chair of that committee. Can you scroll down so we can see the members on that? But again, if you want to mix that up some, or you have another preference, please let me know. But again, there's language there specifically to allow that process and to allow feedback. So there's not just direct asking the superintendent. We actually go into committee work, and I like productive meetings too. So I think that with a good board, a good chair of the committee, being able to get out and get that community feedback, you can vote on some things and make some recommendations to the greater board for us to discuss going forward. Can you scroll down? Financial Affairs Committee, 5 board members. Again, I've asked Director Belache to chair that, if she agrees to do that. And we talk about the finances of the district, the checks and balances, as we support the superintendent in terms of our accountability. I have a letter on my desk now from the Legislative Joint Audit Committee. It's my understanding that an audit is going on right now. And so asking Director Belache to lead in that effort and then be able to support us. And one of the big things with this committee is making sure that all board members are informed in terms of budgets and management and those types of things. Now, we're trying to set a stage for as we serve and after we serve, you know, so that the board members that come behind us in serving this awesome capacity can have some guidelines and some things in place that really to push the school district forward. All right, scroll down. We have the Governance Committee. I thought maybe about 3 board members would be able to serve on that committee, and more of the executive, individuals on the committee, the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. And of course, Superintendent Barber always serves as ex officio to be able to give us the wisdom and feedback to make sure what we're doing is aligned with what we want to do for the actual, in the best interest of the school district. Scroll down, I think there's one more. Is that the last one? Okay. So again, just looking for your feedback. Nothing to vote on tonight, but if you have any edits or any changes, please let me know. Any feedback about those committee structures? Do you think they are named appropriately? Do you think the content is specific enough? And do you think we'll be able to do that? And one thing I said in the top, that these committees can meet virtually or face-to-face, because we definitely want to make it convenient for community members to attend. We definitely want to make it convenient for our board members. I mean, we already have a lot of work to do, you know, with regular board meetings and special meetings and studying and training and traveling, those types of things. But we at least want to have some structures in place to where The community can give that feedback, the board members can have that outside discussion, and then be able to make recommendations to the great board. And of course, Honorable Mayor Washington, I tried to model it after the board structure of the Pineville City Council. And so, thank you, Alderman Lockett, for talking with me about that and making that suggestion in terms of moving us forward. So, are there any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback? Okay. All right, so again, we'll go back and look at that again in November, any tweaks in between time, let us know. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to our adoption of minutes. All right, adopting the minutes for September 25th, 2023 regular board meeting and September 27th, 2023 special call board meeting. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about those minutes? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 25th, 2023 and September 27th, 2023. Moving to properly second, we approve the minutes from September 25th, 2023 and September 27th, 2023. Are we ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, moving on now, we're to our financial report.
Dr. Rice, I've asked Ms. Reed again to join us so she can update you guys on the financials. But what you have in your packet, and this will be an opportunity for you to ask her questions if you want to ask questions. But you first have the Uber report. This is the first time that you guys have had a chance to have a new Uber report versus last year because we have the budget in. There were some different, I'm wondering if you noticed there were some different items budgeted this year compared to last year. And when we reviewed that, you'll see where we had certain expenses last year, and then that maybe this year we didn't budget as much of those expenses, or we had a larger budget and less, and it's because we cleaned up a lot of the coding from last year, that we were coding things not appropriately, like if we wanted to make sure we were making that more clean. So that's where you'll see some of those differences in the Uber report. The next item that you have is our board report for periods 1 through 3. So that's where you can see all of our revenue starting in July until now, and all the expenses that we've had in each fund from July until now. And then what you'll see in just period 3, or just what we've received in revenue for period 3, which would be your end of September. You're gonna see just September because we haven't finished October. So it's July through September, and then period 3 is just September, the revenue we've received in period 3 and the expenses we've had in period 3. And that the next one is your check register, so that you see what expenses have been done in September. Those are the checks that from the last month until now. And then the last thing that we're very excited about is the bank reconciliation document, where we have finally almost reconciled to where we think we're pretty clean. There are still some outstanding things that we're not sure where they're from, and Jamie has researched that. So if you have any questions, you can certainly ask Ms. Reed about that. But those are your financials for the month.
Are there any questions for board members regarding the financial report? All right, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Second.
The move to properly second, that we approve the financial report as presented. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, our next agenda item, special recognition.
I would ask that Mr. Carlock please help me with these, and we're excited about this. Well, I think I'll start by mentioning just part of this. I didn't ask Mr. Pearson to speak, but would you be willing to speak about the houses, Mr. Pearson, so you can talk to the board about that?
We are.
All right, y'all both done handling it?
No, I just left it, so.
Oh, good. Hey, there we go. Good job. Good. So some of our student special recognitions have to do with our ambassadors, but I would really like for to explain to our board what our ambassadors are and how we
So, good evening.
Good evening.
What we've started at our 9th grade academy is what we call a house system, designed and called Operation Transformation. And so with our house system, the students are separated into 5 different houses where they spin the wheel and move picks where they like. And those houses compete the whole school year with a attendance, behavior, grades, special things that we do in the school. They earn points for all of them. And so each house has 3 ambassadors. The ambassadors serve as the leaders of the school. And so what we have here with us tonight is 10 of our 17 ambassadors. And so they came out tonight to support and be a part of our board.
We want to recognize this. This is a really great opportunity. We go through the 9th grade academy when we do our focus walks and different things, but the last focus walk that we had with Mr. Robertson and his team at the 9th grade academy, our ambassadors started that off for us and led us and showed us the different things that are going on in our 9th grade academy. I was so appreciative and I was so proud, and I know you guys are so proud, and so I wanted to be able to share that pride with everyone tonight, so thank you. So they're showing their stripes.
Since he said that so eloquently. I
would say, we have a teacher that's a part of our ELA team, Ms. Jones, who's over our ambassadors. She's the one that handles all of the meetings and everything with our ambassadors. Roderick Shad is not here, he's the ambassador, he represents all of our houses. London Nugent. She is a part of our Voltron house. Cameron Boston. He's also a part of our Voltron house. Travion Thorne could not be with us tonight, but he's also a part of the Voltron house. London Simmons. She's a part of the Nemesis house. Mario Douglas, who's also a part of the Nemesis house. Jarrell Maxwell, also a part of the Nemesis house. Jayla Crosby, who's a part of the Rodimus house. Blake Moore, part of the Rodimus house. Eric Smith is also a part of the Rodimus house who could not be here tonight. Jadeja Scape, he's a part of our Vector house. Warnell Thompson, who could not be here with us tonight, who's a part of the Vector house. Samaria Williams also could not be here, she's also a part of the Vector house.
Well, hold on, everyone rise to your feet. Because the best house is yet to come.
Javier Epperson is also part of the Vector house, he's away with the football game tonight. Makai Hemphill, which is a part of the Onyx house.
Can you tell that not to Mr. Carlisle?
Micaiah McLeod. And Odessa Watson, who is also a part of the Onyx house, who could not be here tonight.
In their absence.
Mr. Pearson, thank you for leading this effort as well.
So let me put a little spotlight on our babies real quick before we start this. We now have students begging to be a part of this ambassador program. They are literally waiting on someone to do something wrong so they can take this spot. So they're stopping us in the hallway. You know, the ambassador, and we're like, no, it's set. So how can I be one? We just tell them they have to wait until next year. So they are dedicated to what they do. They are changing the climate in our school. Very proud of them for what they're doing. But just seeing them actually pushing to be a part of this has really shown that we are wearing our stripes with pride over at Papa Duke High this year.
You want to tighten up? Tighten up. Can y'all tighten? Yeah. Can we, London, come up. Come up, sweetheart. In front of Blake, stand in front of Blake. Thank you. Make sure the top of your folder doesn't cover your face. Pull your folder down. We want your face. Pull it down, Blake.
I think Dr. Barbery and I calculated this may be our first graduating class if we get our new building on time.
I need one more person to come up.
What about here?
That'll help. Yeah, Ms. Watson, that'll help. This is like my smallest lesson. Here we go. Ready? One. Everybody right here. 1, 2. All right.
So that took care of our students and staff members that we want to recognize this meeting. Lastly, we want to recognize our community members. This group, we have representatives. Oh, I didn't see them right here on my face because I'm used to seeing you in your gear. Okay. So this group came out and just blessed the whole city of Pine Bluff, the entire city. Just by making sure that they had so many events to pour into our youth in our city to promote nonviolence and Dr. Martin Luther King's vision of nonviolence. So for your work to promote nonviolence and peace education among the students in Pine Bluff School District, hosted 2 events during the month of September. One at the high school, one at the middle school, and then wherever else they could fit in the city, they plugged in. So we want to recognize this group from the MLK Commission. Sean Scarborough, I'm not sure if he's here, Executive Director. Okay. We have Walter H. Washington Jr., Fiscal Director. We have Tiffany Pettis, Executive Assistant and Historian. And Diana Shelton, Program Coordinator.
Diane.
That's a powerful, yes. The superintendent and assistant superintendent, they are most active, our favorite, and most engaged that we have, so they are definitely our favorite. Y'all miss the basketball game? Y'all miss the basketball game?
We tried, we did try, we tried.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all of our citations. You're welcome to stay for the board meeting, but if you don't want to stay, you can go.
All right, as they transition out, we're going to continue in our agenda. Personnel Policy Committee, the updates.
Good evening, board, Superintendent Barberie, Dr. Rice, and everyone here. It's good to be here on this Monday of homecoming recovery. Just a few updates from our personnel policy. We recently had elections prior to the law deadline of October the 15th, and we have a new certified personnel policy committee that is in place. Before we introduce those individuals that are here tonight, just to kind of give you a recap on how the elections took place. This year, we decided to do something different, and it made it a little bit more equitable and fair. Elections were not held, previously elections for personnel policy were held across the district, regardless of what campus you were on. If you were at Southwood, you were voted on by someone that was at Jack Roby, who may or may not have known you, and just depending on it, it made it a little bit unfair. And so we kind of streamlined that this year.
And elections happen at individual campuses. And so each campus conducted their own election, led by the PPC member from the previous year. And the results are as follows. We had 3 representatives from our secondary campuses, and then 2 representatives from each elementary campus, with the exception of our pre-K campus, which had 1 representative, and that is Ms. Sharita Sanders. I'm gonna ask them to stand so that you guys can put a name with a face. Ms. Sanders, she's our Greenville Personnel Policy Committee rep. 34th campus is Ms. Kiara Barnes and Ms. Stephanie Owens. I don't believe she's here tonight. Our Southwood campus, we had 1 individual to fill that spot after I asked her, Ms. Leanne Gabriel. She's our Southwood rep. Our James Matthews campus is Mr. Matthew Jimerson and Ms. Kay Briggs, and I don't see them here today. Our Broadmoor campus is Ms. Myrtle Brown and Ms. Marcia Wilkins. Our Palm Bluff Junior High Academy rep is Ms. Kendria Jones, who just left. Oh, there she is. Ms. Jones. Our 7th and 8th grade site is Mr. Adrian Duncan and Mr. Torres Eskew. And then the Palm Bluff High School site is myself, Mr. Calvin Thomas, and Ms. Annette Hatchett. These are our Personnel Policy Committee members. I thought that it was important that you guys saw the individuals that are doing the work when it comes to policy. Once the committee was formed, we then elected chair and officers for ourselves. And the secretary is Ms. Kendria Jones, who will be responsible for recording and making sure that those minutes and things of that nature are in compliance to be shared with our district website and so on. Our co-chair is Mr. Eskew, and then yours truly was elected as the chair for this year. Thank you. As far as our marching orders are concerned, I think I gave you guys a recap in our September meeting, but we will officially now be able to do that work with our new team. And our focus is going to be those 3 things that I know we want to make sure that we get out in ample time, and that is our district calendar for 2024, 2025. Last year we explored the opportunity of what a year-round calendar would look like. This year we want to kind of put more focus on that and see if we can make that materialize. We're going to change the name because year-round just makes people automatically be like, nah, I don't want to do that. And so we've noticed that a lot of school districts are moving to a year-round calendar, Hamburg and Marion and some other schools. And so we're going to look at that model, doing this as well. And so that's one of the things that's going to be on the top of our list, as well as a compensation package for our salaries for the 2024-2025 school year and beyond. We're going to be looking at that, as well as solidifying our sick leave bank. Those are our marching orders that we'll be starting out with. Questions?
Quick question, how often do you all meet?
We meet once a month, the first Monday of every month.
So you'll be able to provide updates?
Absolutely.
At our upcoming board meeting?
Correct. So that would be November, whenever that one will be. I know that's Thanksgiving break, so we'll have updates on the work we did in that November meeting.
So have you thought about when there becomes a time when you may have to work together on some things? I know you all have your policies, procedures that you have to, be responsible for, and we have ours. So have you kind of thought about that, about how we can come together collectively?
Sure. Now, I'm open. I think we all have district emails, so we can email one another. Superintendent Barbery, I know she kind of acts as a liaison in that, or her and Mr. Carla. So whatever those things that you guys want us to kind of hone in on, we'll be sure to take up that work. And like I said, we'll give our updates and those suggestions. We can just, however you want to do that, we're open for it.
And we may talk to board members about that. We may want to line up in some of our work sessions in terms of some of the things we're doing to be convenient for everyone, so we're not meeting too much, but we're also meeting before the meeting, so we can meet.
And all of our meetings are in person, and so we will be meeting at the hospitality room in the arts building on the campus of Palo Cloud, so that's what we do.
Thank you.
All right?
Any other questions, comments, concerns about PBC? Thank you.
All right.
All right, I think next on our agenda is our superintendent's report.
Thank you so much. And we will start the superintendent's report. You guys, you know that I do the report based on the 6 systems that focus on students and student learning. But today we're going to recap very quickly. So I want to I want to bring your focus to the 6 systems that we always focus on. And I just have some updates of each system. I do want to share with you some of the academic information that we have this month. As far as our district common formative assessments. I want to share first what this is. Our common formative assessment is where we have the standard, that's the priority standard. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to have Ms. Rawls share for this. Ms. Rawls, do you mind helping with this? Sure. Yeah, we'll be quick. We don't have to run through it. I just want to make sure that we are able to update this. And you guys, when I put in your superintendent report in your board packet, I've updated it since then, so you'll have the new updated version as well. We added these links today. It's hot off the press. If you want to click on that 3rd and 4th grade, just so that you can tell what that is.
So, teachers get a pacing guide that pays out the standards for each 9 weeks, and in that pacing guide, there's identified district priority standards. So what you see here is the data from the district priority standard for the first 9 weeks for 3rd and 4th grade. Standards, you have 2 of them for literacy and 2 for literacy for 3rd and 4th grade. The students are still currently taking assessment throughout the remainder of the week in math and the other grade levels. So the data you see today is just for 3rd and 4th grade, and then we will continue to assess this week. So the district average, this first chart shows you overall what the students did on their assessment. And at the bottom there is a key. Red represents students who score 80% or higher. So in order for a student to be graded, they had to score 80% or higher. Close represents students who score between 65 and 79%, and not ready yet means students who score less than 65%. So you see the district average at the top. That's the first set of data that you have, and those are all of the elementary schools combined for those particular standards together. And then you see the individual schools.
So Ms. Rawls, explain what our teachers are now expected to do with this data.
So with this data, at the bottom, you also see, there's a breakdown of those standards from the assessment, and they have learning targets. It identifies the students who were ready, who were not ready yet. And so you look at the data for your building, and you go in and provide intervention according to the actual standard of learning target students did not perform well. They create intervention groups and provide whatever support the students need to increase their proficiency. And so here you have, remember the top is the overall score on the assessment, and this data right here is a breakdown of what those scores represent. And so you have the district average, and then you have each building, and those numbers represents the actual number of students that that standard represents for the district in each individual campus.
And so one of the things that we're learning in our professional learning community, what's from the boardroom to classroom, we talked about that at the last meeting. And it was a piece of data that I wasn't completely comfortable with, but one of the research says if you have that common formative assessment on that priority standard and everyone passes it the first time, you need to look at the test and see, was the test too hard? Was the test too easy? Was the rigor really there? And so this actual assessment was something that last month at the board meeting, remember we passed, you guys voted to purchase the common formative assessment data house where we could have an actual online platform that mimicked a lot like what our standardized assessments will look like in the future. And so through that, our teachers are creating these common formative assessments. But with this one, this was created with our curriculum director, ensuring that we're trying to set that rigor with what we call is DOK, which is depth of knowledge. So what is the depth of knowledge that the students had to have in order to pass this? And so we do have a link, you'll have that link to what the actual assessment looked like. And so that goes back to me, first of all, I wanted to commend our teachers and our principals and our district team on, we're talking about academics and data. They're having data conversations every single day about what we need to be doing to move our kids forward. And that's something that I feel like is huge progress. And then the other part of that is okay, now that we see this and we see the rigor in this, what are we doing now? Because this is a priority standard, meaning it's grade level standard. And we know our students are not where they need to be grade level wise. And so this is a reflection of where they are right now so that our teachers can say, okay, what can we do to ensure that we're supporting these students to get them to that grade level standard? Because not only are they going to receive intervention and support on the grade level standard, we also have students every day participating in interventions based on information that they don't have, foundational standards that they didn't have in the past. And so they're receiving two types. And that's through a lot of hard work that our curriculum teams are working to get our teachers support in. So I want to say thank you for sharing this with us. And like I said, you'll have the updated version so you can click on the links and see the assessment and see the different things if you need to. But if you have any questions for Ms. Ross.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
So how many grades do we have submitted?
I didn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry. How many grades? I see third and fourth.
Yeah, so we'll have for 3rd through 10th grade, this first, district common formative assessment, and going forward, it'll be K-12. So we'll have one for different grade up from math, science, and ELA.
And I love the fact that she said district, and I hope you understand what that means is the same questions were asked of the students at Southwood that were asked at Broadmoor and James Matthews, and that will be across the board so that we can show as a district that we're all getting the same guaranteed viable curriculum, and we're working towards that. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ross. So for now, I'm going to talk a little bit, speak through these things, just because we do have a specific presentation regarding our facilities, and I want to get to that. As far as human capital, we still are in search of special education teachers. We're down teachers, and we're still hoping to employ more. So if you know someone that wants to teach special ed, please refer them to Pine Bluff School District. Another thing about academics that we were talking about is what does a good learner look like in the Pine Bluff School District? This is something that we were charged with in our PLC training. In our article that we read, I shared with you guys last month, the collective efficacy article. It said, what does a good learner look like? A lot of our learners look like compliance. They look like they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're sitting in the classroom. We expect them to be on time. We expect them to do that, but are they really learning? And what does that really? If we were going to put a banner up at Pine Bluff School District and say, at Pine Bluff School District, a good learner looks like this. I'm charging you guys to think about what you would say a good learner at Pine Bluff School District looks like. And I'd like to bring that back to the table. On that, you have a link where there's a form that our principals put together. When we had our leadership meeting, we asked the principals, what does a good learner look like? And there was just a lot of Post-it notes that we had, and so that's on there. Student support, we're still working very hard with our student intervention teams and our behavior matrix. Our teams are meeting to look at our students that are struggling in all the areas, whether it be academic, attendance, behavior, to see how we're targeting them for interventions so that we can support them in all areas. That's something that we're trying to build up. As far as stakeholder community engagement, we were very excited to host Mr. LeVar Burton and Craig O'Neill and people from the Right to Read. They came to our district and interviewed and talked with a teacher panel. We were also able to participate in the screening of a Right to Read at Pine Bluff UAPB, where we partnered with them. It was an awesome, awesome video, and we got a signed poster from Mr. LeVar Burton himself, the director. One of the directors is back here. And I'm very proud to announce that Mayor Washington has been working with Ms. Kim West and Coach Dixon on the state championship celebration. So you guys will have a ticket to our state championship celebration. Will be May 19th.
November.
I'm sorry, November 19th. I'm thinking graduation, sorry. November 19th, at the country club, correct? Do we have the location of the venue is in the country club, so we will get more information about that. Again, Phil's facilities, our 3 buses are in. If you haven't seen the video of Mr. Bennett, our bus director, he did a video for us. We have 3 of the 5 that we were supposed to get in, so we're expecting 2 more, hopefully before Thanksgiving. And then we'll have 5 more coming in the spring. And then, as far as the other facility piece, we have our architect and our construction management company to talk about the Convo High site. But one thing I also want to charge you guys with is if you look at the last block where it says district operations and fiscal governance, the current Pablo School District vision is that very long statement that's that first bullet right there. And it's a great vision, and it is, it's a beautiful statement, but it's not anything that any of us can repeat, because it's so long and hard, with all those words. And I just want you guys to know, as your superintendent, my vision for Pablo School District is that every kid loves to come here, and they want to be here. Because if we can get every kid to love school, then we're gonna win. Because once we get them here, we're gonna have the people that love them, and everyone needs to be here. So I want you to know that that's really my vision for our district, is that every child, pre-K through 12th grade, every student loves Pablo School District. And for that to happen, we have to figure out how to make that environment that way, so that we can get kids here, and that we can get the school choice. That's what we need. And so with that, that's my superintendent update for this month, and there's some more links in there for you guys later. We'll make sure you have the updated version. But I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Clayton Baby from Lewis Elliott Architect. He's our architect for the Cobble Top project, and so I'm going to give it to you. And I have a clicker if you need it. I don't know.
I'm gonna step up here so I can point to the screen. So, members of the board, Dr. Bartley, thank you so much for being here. It's been a little while, and so we've been working hard, and I'm grateful to be standing here, accounting to everybody, and let you know where we are at to this evening. What I'm showing you here is we have done several things, which include, we've hired a surveyor. We got to survey the current property. We need to know where every single building is. We need to know where the football field is, where all the visible valves, drains, all those things that you see in the ground. We got to account for those. We need to know where all the site utilities are, the best the surveyor can find. So there may be some stuff that we missed after 50 some odd years. Things get dug and put in the ground, and we don't always know where they are. We actually hired a local surveyor to do this job, so we're grateful to have him. I want y'all to see that. It says preliminary because we're about 75% done. He should finish up Lord willing in the next couple of weeks, and that's information we need. What will follow after that is we need to end up with getting a soils engineer to come out and do several soil borings, test the ground, test the soil, and let us know what kind of bearing capacity it has, and that helps our structural engineer then design the building pad, footings, and all the structure. And so that's ongoing. So with that, we'll go to the next slide. And what you saw on the survey, I superimposed all the existing buildings where they sit, put that on top of a Google image. And so those are directly related to each other. Each building is as compared to the survey. So we're starting to really nail down the exact location of everything and start to say, okay, is our building that we're trying to set in there going to work? So I'm sure everybody, just with the football field and the track, you can kind of get your orientation, all the streets here. And let's go to the next slide. So with that, going into the millage, we began to develop a plan. We wanted to face the front of our building in this direction. We wanted to address the athletics, and try to stay out as many buildings as possible. And as we were doing that, there was a compressed timeline, as y'all know, really do our best to get, information, design, look, aesthetics in front of the voters so they could begin to see how buildings lay out and what it might look like, and involve a lot of things, history of the school and everything. And so this was the footprint that we ended up with. And as we were moving right into the millage, you go to the next slide, Sean. One thing that became apparent is we've got hardened drain that runs right through the middle of y'all's campus. And so as we began to look at that, we began to realize, okay, so we've got a couple options, and we came to Dr. Barbary about this is where we are. Dr. Rice sat in with a meeting or two with us as well, and we began to look at, here's our two options. Do we move off the hardened drain and use that money in a different way, or do we leave the building the way it's designed and move hardened drain? And so we all collaborated. We got East Harding to weigh in. We talked to even the latest survey of Harding Drain and the impact study, the things that were done not too long ago. I talked to that civil engineer. We got pricing pulled together, and a rough estimate was going to be for this section of the Harding Drain to move it and run between here and come and go down and reconnect. It's going to be approximately $3 million. And so with that, we began to say, is there a better way we can put $3 million into this building instead of sticking it in the ground and get more bang for our buck? And so, go to that next slide, Sean. So from that, we went to this. Now, what we did in that is we all the things that the board has seen, Dr. Barbary and everybody that has been involved at this point, all the things about the front door, looking to Olive Street, trying to connect to the athletics with the arena and different athletic stuff, putting career tech down here, how do the students get in, and how do we have the right amount of parking on the right side of the site. We kept all that, but we had to compress it, and really I think what ended up happening is our courtyard, student courtyard, didn't get too tight, but it really snugged up, and I think it's safer, it's more secure, it's more the right size for the size of the high school this is, and so that's the shape we ended up with. This next slide will show you we've gone beyond that. What we've started doing is really working. We're tasked with, as architects, and the program requirements and the partnership agreement we have with the Department of Education. They give us a matrix based on the student enrollment of 903 or 904 students. I'll give you the exact number, but it spits out for us how many classrooms, how many career tech, how much square footage, the size of the cafeteria, all those things that are dictated to us. And then we take that and we have to put that on the page, and you have to meet a minimum square footage for every size that we have given us by the Department of Ed. And so that's where we are now. We feel like we've come in and we've had multiple meetings. We've been filtering things to East Harding, and we're very close to, I'm not gonna say we meet the POR 100%, because at times there are things that we have to miss, and we'll have to submit our plans when thumbs ups are given for you guys to the Department of Ed, all the different agencies that will review that. We like to think that we'll have that covered and we'll get approval fairly quickly. But at the point we are now, let's go to the next slide, Sean. This is the site now with things, all the old buildings stripped away. We left the Harding Drain on there so you can see that, your football field, track. And what we've done now is, once the site is gone, all the existing buildings, this is what this will look like. And I want to quickly run through it, and I've got larger plans. We can get into each individual space if we want to take that time. I want to be brief, but thorough, and I'll answer any questions you'll have. So what we've ended up with is the front door, Olive Street. We've got parent pickup and staff parking. We've included a little more staff parking here. So the main entrance would come here. Our bus pickup and drop off will be to the north. That would allow to drop off and go straight into the cafeteria in the morning. And in the evening, they can hold students until buses come to the cafeteria and exit out there. And then we've got student parking, which the student parking and this extra bit of staff parking on either established event parking. So the largest parking lot would be, I'm sure, used mainly for football, auditorium, and some fine arts, and then arena parking here. But then also, depending on how we start working the football field, you'll have visitor and home parking. Not everybody's gonna get that right, but you guys are gonna know which side to go to. But we would have ticket booth entrance for the football game. With, if you'll remember, we even developed kind of Championship Plaza. We want to kind of build on that and make something nice when you enter on either side and go into the stadium. We have career tech down here with secure fencing for the ag shop and the different career tech things. And then we have future growth to come out there. So let's go to the next slide. Oops. And then we'll kind of get a bigger view. And so as you start to look at the building, we've worked hard to give us 3 points of secure entrance checkpoints that come into the building. The front will always be visitor during the day entrance with a secure vestibule where you come in a set of doors, you would have to stop, you would come to a glass window where you present any kind of identification or be allowed to let in. They would check you, the SRO would be there and let you come on into either the admin area, or if you have business in the school, they would let you in there. That's one point. The bus pickup and drop off, we want to make sure the kids are safe and secure, and they'll come to the checkpoint there. Once they come in, they'll be able to come in if they've got free reduced lunch. If they're going to do breakfast, they can just stay right there. Once they get past that checkpoint, they're free to move about the school anywhere they want to. And then student parking on the back side here, which was also kind of, like I said, the event parking after hours stuff. They'll come through another checkpoint that has a vestibule that you have to pass through detection system, like all the other ones. And once you get into that, we'll use the lobby that we have designed for the arena and the auditorium that can come on through. And they can go into the courtyard, they can go anywhere they want to. So that's our 3 checkpoints. We feel like we've got a good, all sides that they can enter. Once they get into school, then it will really become one checkpoint. No one can come in or out of the school without coming into the main entrance here, which is right here at administration. So just to give you kind of the biggest spaces here, this is the academy that's already there. We'll be tying into that. That will be secure as well. You'll have most of your classrooms in this bar here. That's a 2-story bar. As you come up the hallway and make the turn and head towards the cafeteria, you have the kitchen here with service. Family Consumer Science is up here that will work with that. You'll be able to go through a quarter out. This is, if you'll remember from our village, we kind of had a little bridge area here that we want to play off of what y'all have as a history in your high school. And that will actually look down in the courtyard. It's a 2-story thing. It would be undercover of the main floor, but it would be the second floor there. And we get to a practice gym, arena, and the practice gym is a safe room as well. And then around this direction, you got the media center. If you'll remember also, we worked with the kind of history of the high schools. We want to do that right at the front door when you come in. We'll really do some homage there to all the different high schools that make up Pine Bluff High School. You'll make this corner and come down through the career tech area. And then either direction you can go through the courtyard, you come into this set of doors. You've got the fine arts, which is band, choir, and art here. And then the arena you can get into as well. So go to the next slide. The next slide is only what the second floor is, okay? So you would have a couple of things. We've got science classrooms here. I didn't go through all the courses on the bottom floor. But then more classrooms here. You would go down this corridor, you can go downstairs to go into the cafeteria. That's looking down in the cafeteria. If you go through those doors, there's some glass you can see through into the cafeteria below, or you'll come on through it. If they have assemblies, anything during the day, pep rallies, we want to have that arena. The kids can come through here and come into the upper level of the arena. And we've got 2,200 seats here for the arena. So we feel like we've really accomplished all the spaces that the Department of Ed has asked us to do. And we feel like where we've sized the building, trying to stay off hard and drain, to maximize the district's money, to do our best on all those things. We're at a point now to where we've kind of got a blessing from Dr. Barbery. We're wanting now, we want y'all y'all to see it first, the board, and then we'd like to start working with her teams, teachers, to go through every space. Every subject of the classes, we want the AD and coaches, whoever Dr. Barber wants to involve with us, from the career and tech to the band, choir, the kitchen ladies, the media center, all that. We need to go through all those processes to make sure that, I can't give them a sauna in every bathroom, and we can't do those things, but we do want to give them things that make teaching easier, more efficient, and build in that technology that makes it better teaching. So with y'all's blessing, hopefully after tonight, we're ready to jump in and do that, and then we're wanting to have our drawings finished by the end of June. So I know it's fast, but I'll take questions and be happy to answer.
Thank you. Questions, board members?
So in your revised site plan, or the site plan, we will be taking down the student center?
Yes, yeah, we're taking down all buildings on the site.
Okay. And I see on this site plan too, there are tennis courts there, so they're not gonna be incorporated into the final?
Go back a couple of slides, go back to right there, that's good. So here's the student center, it's right here. Tennis courts are right here. So we are going over those tennis courts. We're gonna eliminate those. Now, that doesn't mean we can't, we can go around those, they're kind of in the parking lot, but, you know, there would be the opportunity to move some tennis courts and redo some tennis courts. But yes, that's right. Our goal right now, again, on the way we have to set this building up, the functions and the things that go on the student center, we would like to try to move that activity into the safe zone of that courtyard and develop something that's equally as enticing and really improves the overall experience for the students inside the courtyard. Is why we're doing that.
So at full capacity with the future expansion, how many classrooms are we looking at?
So I didn't bring the POR with me, but I think the general education classrooms is 28 classrooms, which y'all are getting 22. It's 22 because you have so many classrooms already in the academy. So you get funded for 22 classrooms, general classrooms. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get other, you get special ed, you get the career tech, you get some related classrooms that go along with the career tech, but just gen ed classrooms is 20.
Oh, okay.
You can ask.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, if that would accommodate, the population, I guess, with the students there. Because right now at the high school, all the classrooms are occupied, is that correct?
They are. They're occupied. And I would say the thing about it is the POR is built based on what standard says on student population. So you could put 30 kids in a classroom at the high school because that's what standard says in a regular general education classroom. And so that is what they're funding us for. So there are additional classrooms as part of that 28 that are not your core courses, but that doesn't count. I mean, there are some additional classes down here that are gonna be your CTE. You have different, the 28 doesn't count CTE and it doesn't count any resource or special education classes. Good question.
You know, questions?
I have one. So with this January date, that will be the contract, we have still give us plenty of time where we need to be in line with, getting our money from.
So that's a great question. Because of the timelines and the way that things are, I spoke with the facilities division. We will have it on record since we are under, now that we have all this, the facilities division counts this as part of being contract. We just don't have this, we don't have the guaranteed maximum price yet. And so that would just be documented. But yes, our expectation to have a guaranteed maximum price should be March, correct? Or April.
Let's see.
Is that what was said? March or April? That was our talking point.
We got,
Okay.
yeah, we're talking points. Based on
plans being ready into January, into February range. We would have about a month after that. The plans would then go to the state facilities office to do their review. It would also go to the city of Pine Bluff to do all their internal reviews that the city and wastewater and some of those folks would need to do. But at that time, we would then put the project out to bid. It would be about a month-long bid process. So there's 2 months post-drawing, and then we would go to contract GMP with the district.
So that probably puts it closer to April, because it hasn't gone for bid.
And while we're doing, there's multiple things going on while we're doing construction documents. We've got to take this to the city, we've got to get that approval, we need to meet with as many, folks as we can. We want to meet with the fire marshal. There's a lot of things that we have to do simultaneously to meet this deadline. So it's an aggressive deadline for us.
What is the current condition of the student center? Like, is it something that is usable or projected to be used or useful life? I don't have that.
When the high school was looked at as a space replacement, they didn't look to replace the student center.
I was just asking about the condition of it now, because we're getting ready to tear it down, but it just from the site plan, it looks like if we wanted to save it, we could just shift the site plan, east a little bit and be able to accommodate it if there was a use for it at the school. I mean, it just costs more to build new than it is to preserve what you have, so.
So everything you see on this, you're getting funding for. So you're getting money for all these spaces with the exception of the seating, some of the spaces in there. So the Department of Ed doesn't recognize that as an academic core space. They do not fund for that. So there's no money to build that back. Like I said, I really
I'm talking
believe
about preserving it.
preserving it, okay?
I'm just asking in terms of, I don't know what the current use for it is at the high school, how people use space. But if there wasn't a, desire to save it, it seems as if we're so close, the site plan is so close that it could just shift east just a little bit, just to be able to keep it and of course not extend the parking that far up. I mean, there's a way to work around it if there was a desire to keep that building.
If I need to move that, I can. There's several dominoes that have to fall to do that, but I'm not gonna tell you that I cannot do that. I've got to, we're working with such a tight boundary with that hard. If y'all tell me to stay off of it, I'll need to back up and do that.
And when questioned, I said we don't use the facility, even though we probably should have. We're not using it as it's designed to be used, that I know of. And it is not an academic space. And so we do serve our students in the cafeteria, and that's where they eat. If we use the student center, it's been more for maybe professional learning. We've allowed some students, we talked about it being a reward place this year to be able to let students that were doing certain things. Ms. Thompson, do you have something to say about it? The student center?
No, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. So I think I'm speaking towards what we haven't used.
Like you mentioned, one other thing about
Yeah.
the way this is laid out, either we wanted to move, include it in the student courtyard, or any students that are gonna go to that courtyard through the day, or sorry, to the student center through the day, have to leave the secure part of the building and go out to that. And that can become a security risk throughout the day. Now, to move this, to get that in the courtyard, we would have to move well down the road, and it gets a little harder to stay connected to the academy for secure connection and include that inside the courtyard.
Director Coleman, I'm gonna ask you to serve as our facilities chair. You got any questions at this time?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, I invited my buddy Pamela Wastewater. Any comments, concerns?
Yes, there's some concerns because we also have a 75-year-old 30-inch sanitary sewer line that crosses the north end of that gym along Sherman Watson. We also have sanitary sewer lines coming that serve from 14th Avenue up onto the campus that are underneath the protected site.
There's no question we'll have to move some utilities. I'm not saying we
which ones, but we're gonna coordinate with you guys and get you,
Yes, I
no
just
question.
Didn't want to just slip up and bite you later.
I don't want to fight you. But we try to dodge as much as we can dodge and get this size of building. It's a good size building. And we know we've got to run it past.
I've got an area for it, I'll give you.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So one thing that, that I want to address here tonight with the board is originally when we were trying to navigate around buildings and around making sure that our students were there, the original site plan, the way it was, we were going to build while students were on site. And we had accommodations for that. We were going to move kids from one place to the other. With the new site plan, and we were still running into difficulties because what we have to salvage is the cafeteria. I mean, we could move kids from different buildings, but we can only feed them in that cafeteria. We have one cafeteria at Pine Bluff High. And so, with this site plan design, moving back, this building will be on top of where the current cafeteria is. And so we're now looking to say, to do this plan, we're going to have to move the students off this site during the construction process. There will be no students on site, which by doing that, it goes back to our original conversations about it will save construction money. It could possibly save timeline, because there will be no students to have to move at the time. So by moving the students off the site, they will not be at Pine Bluff High for up to 2 years until the construction project's done. So with that, we had to start thinking about what would we do with our students while they are not on that site. And we currently have Jack Roby Junior High that does not have students in it. When we took students out of Jack Roby Junior High, there were several things and several reasons that still are there as to why we don't have students in the building, and that's because it needs new HVAC, and to do that, we need a new roof. So since then, I've asked the facilities division to come down, and we did get a facilities review. They didn't have it all printed out for us tonight, but the main things that we talked about as far as the Jack Roby site, I said, because eventually we want to figure out what do we want to do with it even when we don't have kids in it. Do we want to try to rebuild? Do we want to try to do something with Jack Roby? And so for future master plan, so I asked them to look at look at Jack Roby to see, can we have students back in it safely for construction process? And then what do we need to do to make sure that everyone's safe and conducive to learning for the time that we're building the new high school? And then what to do for the future? What are their thoughts on the future of it? So that's why the report is a twofold report. So first and foremost, what we have to do according to facilities is take a new look at the roof and find out if there's ways that we can work on the roof so that there are no leaks, because the leaks cause mold, and that was some of the things that were presented in the HVAC project. So we haven't yet, but I've asked Mr. Gregg to meet with our facilities and possibly talk to East Harding on seeing who we can get out to survey the roof to see what we need to do to fix the roof so that we can place students back in the building. The other things in the building that would just be maintenance type things. We need to make sure that all the doors are locking appropriately. We did take some of the cameras out of Jack Roby and we used them, we moved them because they were newer. Our cameras were newer in Jack Roby, so we put them in some of our elementaries because our elementaries didn't have new cameras, so we'll need to put we'll need to just make sure we have some cameras back in the classrooms. We don't have any classrooms. We took the classroom cameras out. We still have outside cameras and hallway cameras. But so there's some security things that we need to update as far as Jack Roby goes. But mainly, we've got to look at the roof and the units, the air units, to see what we need to do with that. Mr. Gregg, did I miss anything? I think that's what our facilities report is right now. So we're working to get an estimate on what that's going to look like so that we can have all those things taken care of so that the students are move-in ready, if that's the direction we go, which that's my recommendation. Yes.
I do have a question. So I think originally we were looking at a 2-year timeline with the students on the campus. So it's still a 2-year timeline with students off the campus?
I think it was more 33 months or
third-party drain getting involved and trying to work around the existing. As Dr. Barberie had mentioned with the original plan, the cafeteria was gonna be basically completely enclosed from a construction standpoint, and so the safety of students kind of really became paramount in being able to try to work that original plan, just because of having to bring students into that cafeteria process. The other thing that being able to relocate them to another campus will really help with is gonna be disruption of learning. Now, obviously, everyone's been around in construction we're not quiet people, unfortunately, especially when we've got large things going, so just the disruption factor and being able to have the students in a quiet learning environment is going to be much better for them in the long term as well. But yes, we will save some time. We are shaving months off our construction schedule, which is shaving dollars every time you're able to do that. What we're looking at would be bringing in a timeline that would let the district move back in and have an extended summer to try to have them come in and move in, bring in all the FF&E, make sure all the computers are set up, so that there's an extended timeline there, so that it's not a huge rush at the end of the project, and there's time for training and turnover probably for the district.
The move-in would still be set, I mean, we were set August of 2026. That's what school, everybody in August of 2026, that's our goal. But I will say, things that will still need to be used, of course, we'll still have to, things that we were concerned about first, we'll still have to travel to the football field, practices in the multipurpose, so there still will be some busing for athletics. I'm not sure, I know that Jack Roby, we had a band and choir at Jack Roby, a band and choir room at Jack Roby, so those things we can still house at Jack Roby, so they wouldn't have to be transported for that, but something else that we're still looking into though is McFadden Gym and how we're gonna utilize and play basketball. I know at the last board meeting, you guys had asked about, the possibility of the convention center and things like that, so those are things that we're talking with, the city about to see what we need to do there.
Is there a timeline for repairs?
Not yet, we have no timeline yet, because we haven't, this is new information, so I'm letting you guys know, and so if you're okay with it, we're gonna explore and find out how much we think it'll cost to update Jack Roby so that we can get students in there, and then I'll bring that back to you, and you'll have a timeline then.
We're happy to step in and work with Mr. Gregg to assist in both planning schedule-wise and costing for the updates needed for us to help facilitate that, to make sure they would be ready for students.
And all that will be bid. Once we get an idea of what needs to be done, that will be bid out.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So what role will the facilities committee serve going forward with this project?
I think first and foremost would be helping with the committees, forming our parent, community, teacher committees, making sure that they're all working, and that our facilities, our board facilities committee also ensuring that you're placing that direction of where they need to be going. And so this is what the board expects to see, and so these are the committees. So I think it would be, once I can get those formed, we could have a board member participate in some of those meetings. Or but that committee, and if that's fine. If we do have, just know, if we have more than one board member, which we have 3 on that committee, or 5, do we have 5?
Yeah, and I think, going back to what even Director Coleman said, we want to leverage those resources and expertise. So if you feel there's an individual that has expertise and needs to provide some additional leverage for us, then, you definitely have that power to do that. And I think we talked about that. All right, if there are no other questions, comments, concerns at this time, so we will go forward. I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the construction documents as presented. And then that'll help us kind of stay with the timeline based on my notes, which is, we approve those documents tonight, we still have to go through an additional approval process. By February, hopefully 2024, completion of those documents, and then February, March, then that's when, the competitive bids will actually go out. And I wanna make sure, Mayor Washington, that we are focusing on minority-owned, women-owned, and small businesses with this project. And so that's one of the things that was a big caveat for us in terms of this magnificent project. and making sure that our local stakeholders have a stake as well, so. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the construction documents as presented. The moved and properly seconded, and we're ready for question.
Limited utilities, would that change anything for this one? We approve this one?
Yeah, that's wastewater.
Wastewater.
Well, and I'll say,
Oh, that's wastewater.
yeah, and so what you're doing is saying, okay, so this is the site plan, and so you're accepting this as a site plan, and so we move into the opportunity to have the construction documents where they start doing that.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Did you get a first and second, Mr. Cameron?
I guess my question
Yeah.
to you is,
That was an action item.
so is this the approval to move forward with construction?
How we doing? Do we need a 5-minute break? You good? Let's go? Okay, we're here. Yes, good. All right, our next agenda item is new business.
In new business, we had, and I will say thank you, you guys are welcome to stay or move on. As far as new business, we had a petition for transfer of students, this student petitioned to, it's kindergarten, transfer to Woodlawn. Again, they didn't meet the school choice timeline, however, if they are, allowed an opportunity to, have a hearing before the board if you want them to be heard, or you can just move that, let them transfer as we have in the past.
All right, hearing that recommendation, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the petition for the transfer of students. The move is properly second, that we approve the petition to transfer of students. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
So, what you have next in your, packets are approvals for e-starting worked this summer to paint and update the bathrooms at Robert Moorhead. Well, actually, not them, they managed the project that was of the painting of Robert Moorhead, the entire inside of the building, except classrooms, but the hallways, all the bathrooms, all the common areas, cafeteria, and the painting of all the common bathrooms at each elementary. There were also partitions and upgrades that were done to the restrooms. And so these were done this summer, and this is the invoice for it. It was not, I was asked to do this, and then before the bid came, I didn't bring it to the board, before I got the final payment, before I got the final number. I had it, but I didn't have all of the documentation. But it was done this summer as approved, he wanted it done, and so that was what we did.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Were these items on facilities master? Things that you,
The restrooms were, but not necessarily the painting.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the e-starting invoices. The move properly second, that we approve the e-starting invoices. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item on your agenda is approval of purchases, and this is a quote for Chromebook purchases. It's 406 Chromebooks to replace several of our Chromebooks that we do not have. I do have Mr. Sims here if you have questions about the replacement and how that will work, but it's across the district where we need them. I know we were down at the high school. I know that there were certain buildings that we didn't have all Chromebooks returned, but we use so much technology that our students still need the access to it. So we are not going to allow them to take them home, but we are going to make sure that we have Chromebooks so they can check it out and use it at school.
I have a question about Chromebooks, and I'm going back, I remember when the laptops came out, Apple laptops, you had a laptop case, do you remember that? We could have 30, it might have been iPads, 30 iPads in a case when we push them around the school. where will these, Chromebooks be housed and
Throughout the district.
okay, well, how often would they be updated in terms of, because Chromebooks are a little different from.
Yeah, they updated automatically when they connect to the internet. When we purchase them, they get like a 5-year grace period. After that 5-year grace period, 4 or 5 year grace period, the update stops and you can't use the device anymore.
What happens to the old devices? Do you trade them in, or do you?
Can't really do nothing with it because it's internet. It depends on the updated browser for you to do anything with it.
So we're saying the life cycle of these Chromebooks is gonna be about 5 years? Any other questions?
So these are all replacements because of the age out or because of broken ones?
All of the above.
All of the, do we charge for fees for, okay, where are they recorded in our,
The business office. So if a device is damaged at each location, it's being noted. And if they pay, they get a receipt. And come to me, I'll replace the device.
where are they actually receiving in our budget?
It's in 7,000. Let's go back 25. It says district technology, let me find the actual fund. Because we did use it to purchase some other things. Right, 7261.
And you guys have it from, what did we select?
Well, we started the year with $19,000 in that, but that's been because we've actually collected $80 this year in that fund so far. And so that was a fund that was not being used appropriately because the money is collected from the students for Chromebooks, and so it has to be spent back on technology. That's the only thing it can be spent on. And so, that was brought to our attention last spring when we were trying to pay for something out of it. And Ms. Reed said, you can't pay for it out of there because that money has been collected for certain things. And so we have that there. It's $19,000. We have not spent anything out of it this year at this time.
Will some of that money be used toward this?
No, only because we have expiring funds that are school improvement money that we need to spend. And so we're gonna spend expiring funds on this at this time. But yes, that will be used for technology in the district. Good question. I got a question. Yes, ma'am.
Does the vendor offer any kind of like warranty on?
So, we get the factory one, but that's not gonna cover the stolen or the cracked screen, anything like that, just hardware.
Do they have cases, or is it just?
Cases that we have are like carrying cases, not like, that you just put it in.
But when you purchase them, they come with a case, they just.
It's Chromebook, charger, that's it.
Well, I'm just concerned about the usability of the Chromebook long term. I just think that.
So now what we're doing now, they're in the cart, just classroom sets on.
Yeah, I just, even at UAPB, we have students who are using Chromebooks, and they're just, some programs just don't work with it, but if they're working for what the students need and what the teachers need, then, I just don't. Chromebooks are getting a little dicey in terms of technology, especially with, the warranty and the required updates, and just like you said, after 5 years, they just stop. They don't work. So you have a license, so those are my own concerns. The teachers are using it effectively, and the students can use it effectively and not break them, get some work out of it. So, any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, now, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Chromebook purchase of 26 Chromebooks for the district. The move to properly second, and we're ready for question. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. Thank you.
The next item, and this is not an actual purchase yet, but I'm asking for permission to purchase, because we're still seeking, we're trying to make sure we've sought out all opportunities, but we're wanting to purchase a 14-passenger bus, and we've asked, and Mr. find, but we found one, but we've asked the others. Central Bus Sales is, I think, the one that we do have, Central State, I think is what it's called, sorry. But, we've asked 2 bus companies if they've had any, and so he's trying to see if we can get one more vendor to tell us whether or not they have a bus available. Right now, there are no buses available except for the one, and so I've asked for permission to purchase this bus. The only reason I haven't brought it to you sooner is because the bus actually was more expensive than I expected it to be. The buses that we just purchased, that just came in, are the large capacity buses, and their price, this bus runs at close to that price. That right now, the cheapest we've seen for a 14-passenger bus is $115,000. The thing about it is they're a hot commodity because they do not require someone with a CDL to drive it. And right now, if everyone understands, we're in a huge bus driver shortage with CDLs. And I do know that we have the CDL program at CR. I've inquired about that. It does come with a cost. And so we have offered incentives we've said that we would pay for the CDL. We also pay well on our salary schedule for a CDL. But this is not something that we have a lot of. We know that we also have to transport students through our alternative learning throughout the day. We have some that go to Explore Academy that also are in athletics and band, and we want them to be able to participate. So this would keep us from having to have a bus driver. We could use someone that doesn't have a CDL in order to do this. So I really do. And also, I was shocked that we didn't have one of these buses in our fleet. Most schools do have a bus of this capacity in their fleet, and we don't. And so this would help with our fleet. We will use the declining enrollment money that we could, it's a restricted fund, but you can use it on this, and so it wouldn't come out of general operating.
So, this particular bus will accommodate specific routes, like this one, outlying area, you have less than 14 students up to, it can accommodate.
It could, yes. So in the afternoons, we have our all-time route and our late routes like that. If we had someone who could drive, that would drive it, we could go ahead and take those kids early, at the same time that we take everybody else. Currently, we have to do double routes in the afternoon. So if we have 14 students, which that route usually holds less than that, so this would be an opportunity to use that for there. I'm not saying, well, we're not assigning it to a route, it's if it's needed.
So, is there any benefit to a bus versus a van, like a 12, 13 passenger, where passenger van it is?
And we have the 2 12-passenger vans. We have those as well that we do use.
Okay.
But they're also purchased to use for our social workers, and we use that to take students sometimes to therapies and things like that as well. But we do have those in our fleet.
Okay, because I was just thinking about, I mean, I looked up the price on that, it's like, comparatively, well, 60,000 to price. I just want to see what benefits to a bus versus another van. Neither one of them would require, neither one requires a CDL license, correct?
That's correct. It holds more.
Oh, just
That's
two more.
Yeah, it does.
And then when you need 2 more drivers versus 1 driver, or is it comparable, or?
She said it holds 2 per people.
It does.
Okay, okay.
Okay, but at the same time, it's half the cost of the bus. And you're saying we don't really have it on the route, it's just if we need it.
We can use it on a route, but we're not assigning it to a route at this time.
So we would be buying a bus to park in case we don't have a driver.
It won't be parked. Mr. Gray, what would be the purpose of not buying another van instead? I feel like this would help our fleet as far as having a 14-passenger bus. Ms. Galatre's question was, why not purchase another van?
What do you mean another
Our
van? You talking about another 14 passenger?
Or a 12-passenger van? Or do we don't have a 14-passenger
Well,
van?
the vans that we purchased were 7 passenger.
So,
That's what we have now. You know, you could get by with it, but you know what happens if you got 10 kids and putting 10 on
Well, I was actually
you know.
thinking about the larger bus.
12-passenger. Do we have, I don't know if we have.
Well, we have one, but
It's almost inoperable because it's just so old, and worn out. You know, I didn't think about it, you know, I was looking at a, 14 passenger that has optimal numbers without having to have a CDL. And that is.
That's what we don't have in our fleet.
Yeah.
We don't have one, and it wouldn't sit, I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna be using it, that's
Yeah.
all we need.
Okay, but the purpose would be served with a van. What about the operating and the maintenance on it, versus, the bus versus the van?
I mean, it's, you know,
One requires
I would just say
maintenance.
that, you know, with any bus you have, you're gonna have maintenance issues. So, you know, I don't know if you got, you know, one that's gonna be any better, you know, than the other. In terms of a cargo van versus a small bus. It's just whatever preference is.
So I think, Superintendent Ybarra, you brought this to us because it was, that van was a hot commodity, right?
It's the only bus we could find. Yes.
Well,
And so,
and it's gone.
oh,
It's gone, so I got with, Central State, I called this morning, and it's gone. You know, we waited, but I got a quote from, Central State. I mean, it's $100,000, but it's 360-day wait.
right.
So a van could meet a more immediate need versus having to wait for another 14 passenger bus.
Well, yes, ma'am, but I will tell you that those two vans, it took us 14 months to get those two vans, those two 7-passenger vans.
So Director Lodge, you asking for 212?
Oh, I'm just looking at the cost relative to, like, you know, you can still meet the same need with a van that's $60,000 versus a bus that's $100,000.
And the only thing I was cautioned about is on those vans, being able to transport students. You know, there is an issue now, where there have been, I know that in my other district, I had a van, I couldn't transport students on it, I could carry adults, but I couldn't transport students.
Go ahead.
So when it comes to the vans versus the bus, are both of them handicap accessible? If you have a student that's in a wheelchair and you put them on the bus, are you still able to take more students?
No, neither one of these buses that we talked about, the one that we were wanting to get, neither one of those were handicap accessible. Now, they could make it handicap accessible for another $40,000.
And you do lose the 2 seats. It makes it where it's not the 14 passengers. But I mean, it's the same size, but you lose
Yeah.
those 2 seats.
It would be the same, but if you make it handicap, of course, you decreasing, the passenger capability. Yeah.
So but the van is gone now, so this agenda item.
But if we're gonna get one, we need to get it ordered, because if we delay it, it's 360 days, estimated 360 days from the time that we order.
So what's the pleasure of the body on this issue? All right,
Say we go ahead and approve.
all right, that being the case, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of,
A 14 passenger bus.
a 14-passenger bus. Can I get a second? Moving to property second that we approve the purchase of a 14-passenger bus. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Okay. All right, at this time, we're at the point of approval of personnel. Is there a reason to go into
Well,
executive session?
We have the deletion of the buses.
Oh, I'm sorry, deletion of buses.
Yes, and so we had several on here that we deleted. some that, remember we had several that we did and we scrapped them, but there were some that were left off, and so that's what this is.
Right, any questions, comments, concerns about that item? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the deletion of school buses from fixed assets inventory.
So moved.
Moving to properly second. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Right, now we're down to approval of personnel. Board members have an opportunity to review those items. Is there a reason to go into executive session? Okay. All right. No reason to go into executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the personnel as presented. Moving to properly second that we approve the personnel as presented. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. All right, at this time, we are at adjournment, and we are 15 minutes ahead of schedule. I think putting those numbers on the agenda works. So if you got another meeting, you got a church meeting, I'm going to church meeting. If you got a church meeting, put those numbers on the agenda, I think that works. Thank you all for attending, thank you so much, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't see the motion to adjourn. Moving to second, we adjourn. Ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you again, Honorable Mayor Washington, for attending. Thank you, city council members. Thank you, community members, for attending. Really appreciate it.